Yeah, we on that time. 60 on the board, now we start that climb. Get ready, get set, yeah, the moment's now. When it hits zero, we gon' show you how. Run! Yeah. 50 seconds, feel the energy rise. Heartbeat fast, yeah, you feel that vibe. Lights get bright, yeah, the stage gets set. We ain't even started, but you ain't ready yet. 40 on the clock, now we pick up pace. Every second count, yeah, we in that race. Crowd tuned in, yeah, they locked in tight. Whole room buzzing, yeah, we taking flight. Yeah, 30 seconds left, now we turn it up. No slowing down, gotta fill that cup. Energy peaking, yeah, it's building fast. Blink one time, might miss that blast. 40 on the clock, yeah, we feel to the heat. Baseline knocking, got you out your seat. Hands go up, yeah, we ready to go. Whole vibe shift when we hit that flow. 10, 9, feel that energy climb. 8, 7, yeah, it's almost time. 6, 5, yeah, we live right now. 4, 3, let me hear that crowd. Steve on the mic, yeah, the nurse got skill. Break it down smooth, keep the whole squad chill. Talking about kidneys, yeah, we keep them on track. If your numbers off balance, he gon' bring them right back. Got the wisdom on deck, no stress, just facts. Hydration, motivation every time he reacts. From the clinic hallway to your podcast feed, dropping gems so fresh, yeah, that's all you need. Stevethekidneynurse, yeah, you know the name. Keep your body in check, yeah, we play no games. Real talk, real health, yeah, we keep it pure. Tap in right now, Stevethekidneynurse, yeah. Stevethekidneynurse, yeah. Stevethekidneynurse.
Welcome back to Dialysis Life with Steve the Kidney Nurse. Today, we're joined, and y'all seen this brother, we're joined by Dan Holmes, a Navy Special Operations veteran, founder of the Enlisted Kidney Foundation, and a strong advocate for the kidney community. Now, Dan's story is powerful. He done shared his story many times. I can't tell you how many times I just heard it last week on TikTok. As I said, Dan's story is powerful. After a rescue mission, check this out. I don't know if I could have did it, but I was in the military too, so you got to do your job. But after a rescue mission aboard the USS George Washington, unfortunately, toxic exposure eventually led to a rare autoimmune kidney disease, changing his life in a major way. Now, what stands out most, though, is how Dan turned that pain into purpose. You hear what I'm saying? Instead of staying silent, which he could have done, he started speaking up for patients, veterans, and families who need to be heard. We're really glad to have him with us today. I knew it was going to be, at some point he was going to be on here. I done seen videos. He don't know he was in D.C. riding scooters, took his son through the neighborhood. See, look at that man on the scooter in D.C. But yeah, we had the man Dan Holmes today. But first, before we bring out Dan, we got to do the medical disclaimer. We definitely got to do that disclaimer because we don't want anyone to think we're giving false medical advice. So with that being said, excuse me. With that being said, let me show you our medical disclaimer. There we go. The information broadcast on Dialysis Life with Steve the Kidney Nurse is provided for educational and informational purposes only, and is not intended or implied to be used as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, and treatment. Now, with that out the way, let's give Dan the VIP welcome. Hey, Dan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, Steve. I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for having me on, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, Dan. Thank you for coming on. I saw you was on, I believe it was Dan the Man on TikTok on this show. And I was like, I gotta bring Dan over here to do an interview. It's been too long. And I
Yes,
just
sir.
really got back into podcasting, really, other than my shows that we do every Sunday. And before we start, let me say hello to Low Key Load, Kidney Man Dan,
Kidney Man Dan, what's up, brother?
Oscar, and again, Oscar. Welcome and thank you for coming to the show and watching. We appreciate your support, especially Kidney Man Dan. Dan, let's start off with this. I just seen as you shared it up on your newsletter. Your organization was recently, hold on. Let me put this up. All right. Your organization was recently selected as a 2026 Seeley's champion by the American Society of Nephrology, ASN. Share with us what the award is and how special that is to you to be a recipient of this award.
Man, well, Steve, thank you for the question, man. I appreciate it, and this is huge for us. The Selly's Award, Selly's Championship Award, is something that your organization or you as a patient can apply for every year. You have to go through a process of applying for it and just putting in for it, asking, showing and demonstrating how your mentorship has basically helped change the world in kidney disease. And it's not something that's very easy to obtain. I think they chose 11 every year to receive this award. Now, Sally, she was an employee of ASN, the American Society of Nephrology, and she helped put on and start and run this entire Kidney Week. Now, Kidney Week in the nephrology world is the biggest conglomeration of kidney professionals. It's really targeted towards your nephrologists, the researchers, biomedical, those kind of guys, everybody that's in the progressive space. But we talk about patients. We have patients there. And all of this, even all the research, everything that you do around kidneys ultimately leads back to the patients. So it's important that patients have representation in meetings like this. And for us at EKF, man, we're honored to have received this award this year. It is, for us, is something special. Yeah. So it's just something special as a new organization that's growing, that's trying to affect change on a daily basis, that's trying to be the voice of the patient, and keep that consistent and keep that flowing through. So if we can take the voices with us, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go there. We're going to represent this year. It's in Denver, Colorado. So we're excited. And one of the things that we're doing right now, man, is honestly trying to fundraise. One of these things is you got to get yourself there. With the scholarship, which is pretty cool, with the scholarship is that they do help you with some of the travel expenses. It also covers your registration for the actual weekly long event, which is awesome. But to get our team, to get us there, airfare, hotels, all this kind of stuff, meals, to be able to have that representation of the people is something that we've been trying push and see if we can't help fundraise for. So if you're interested in helping us get there, you're supporting what we're doing, you're supporting our veterans, you're supporting the people and patients with kidney disease, we're going to go make sure that your voices are heard as we do every time we show up. So you can head over to our website, filterlife.org, man. And, that support helps us for sure.
So I'm streaming live on TikTok, and two people, one boxing fan, Angela, she's in Denver, Colorado, and then Ryan B. He said, I applied, wasn't selected. Congrats, Dan. I'm in Colorado.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something that I think a lot of people apply for. A lot of people actually are deserving of this. So it's just unique. It's a unique honor. This is a worldwide event. So I know that there's people that were chosen from like Scotland and some other countries, which is pretty cool. Wow. So it's a worldwide event. It's not just an American event. So they're pulling, champions from all over the world to come together. This is the world's largest meeting of kidney professionals. So if you haven't heard about Kidney Week, please dive in. Go do some research at the ASN's website, the American Society of Nephrology, and Google's your friend there.
Okay. So Dan, with that out the way, let me begin by my questions by asking you. So you went from a warrior to patient. My question is, you spent your career serving and protecting others as a Navy Special Operations veteran. How did it feel when the roles reversed and you became the one who needed care?
How did it feel? It was terrifying, Steve. When the roles are reversed, you just hope that you had put out enough karma in the world, man, to be reciprocal of it. So, it's just a scary thing when you're on that, on the other end, fighting for your life. We spend a lot of time in my career role was so others may live, putting yourself on the line, doing all the training, making sure everything's right, making sure you're not wrong, and everything that you do in association with saving somebody else's life in that situation, because that person in that situation is relying solely on you. Right. And then, find yourself on the other side of that table, you know what I mean? And who do you have? When your medical team throws their hands up and goes, hey man, we've never heard of this before. I don't know what's going on, and everybody you turn to has no answers, I turn to my support system, my family, that's who was there for me when I needed them the most, you know what I mean? And that was my rescue operators, you know what I mean? My family, my wife, my son, they were the ones who had to come rescue me, because I couldn't do it for myself at the time. But there's also an aspect of this that I want people to understand. And it's also about taking credit where credit's due. Give yourself the credit that you deserve. You're a patient. This is hard. This is very hard. Trying to live through something like this is not an easy feat. This is not something that is just fly by night. This is not normal. And it should not be accepted as such. A fight for your life is a desperate cry for help in any shape, way, or form until that need, that life's risk is gone, right? We eliminated that risk. So we want to make sure that we are paying attention to the work that we put in as patients. The suffering doesn't go on deaf ears. It doesn't go in vain. Showing up, having to go through whatever you have to go through. For me, it might have looked like pulmonary embolisms. For me, it looked like recovering from 2 strokes. Those kind of things. I went back to some of my training, learning how to, control my breathing and those kind of things. Rely back on myself. You know what I mean? When I had 8 pulmonary embolisms in my lung, and then my left lung collapsed at the hospital, and they're like, what the heck's happening to this dude? And for me, it was okay, well, I think I've been here before. Let's control our breathing, let's control our thoughts, let's learn how to operate in a stressful environment, because now's the time to do that. So I credit that to the people who taught me how to think like that, the people who helped me train to be like that. And I credit it to myself, man. You give yourself credit where credit is due. Because it hurts like hell to sit in that chair sometimes and be that person that's trying to fight for their own life.
So, Dan, let me ask you this. Was there a moment when you felt the full emotional weight of losing control over your own health?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
There was a moment. The moment for me was during the process of having a stroke. That's the moment that I knew I had lost 100% control. In my head, anybody who's ever had a stroke, I don't know if this is similar for you, but in my head, I could hear everything that was going on. I was very aware of everything that was going on. I could see everything going on. I could see my wife at the foot of the bed, at the foot of the table, or by the door. I could see all the medical team. They had, whatever the crash cart stuff is. They would go. Everybody was going nuts, and they were like, "You got a stroke or something." And I'm just in my head like, I'm okay. This is me. What do you mean? And then I realized, like, maybe this is checkout time. Maybe this is what's happening. Wow. Like, I have no control over this right now. There's none. And that was probably my most.
Uh-oh. Very man. Lost signal with Dan. Hopefully we get him back. There we go.
There we go. Sorry about that, brother. Sorry about that, man. You got these Florida storms that might come over every once in a while, man, and they just kick the internet out. So.
Absolutely.
But I don't know where I left off or where you guys,
well, that's all right. That was good enough. So take me back. The fire aboard the USS George Washington. You risked your life in that rescue mission aboard the USS George Washington and helped save 4 sailors. When you look back on that day now, what emotions come up for you?
I wish I would have known more then, like I know now. I don't know. It was a wild day, man. Anybody that was on board that ship, May 22nd, 2008. Anybody that was on board that ship, man, it was a wild day, brother. We had 6,000 people on board that ship. There was a fire burning uncontrollably for hours, countless hours, brother, countless hours. And although the rescue that I was a part of, where we did rescue successfully those 4 guys out of the bottom of that ship, it probably wasn't the only thing going on that day. So my story is just one of the stories of that day on May 22nd on board that aircraft carrier. And, there's a lot of stories from that day. Mm-hmm. And, but for me, it was difficult, man. I was a hard charger, man. I was young. I was a hard charger. This is kind of what we do. There's no bullets down there, right? Nobody's gonna be shooting at you. And so we had confidence, 100% confidence. So we went down and we after formulating the team, understanding the operation. In our world, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, man. We just do. Right? We do. We either do or we don't.
Right. So before I ask you this follow-up question, we have Ashley Brooklyn, that girl, asked, how can I get help through your foundation?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brooke. Thank you, Brooke, that girl. I appreciate the question. You can find us at filterlife.org or the Enlisted Kidney Foundation.org is our website. We have some forms on there you can fill out. There's an intake process there online. Feel free to reach out. Is my internet? No. Feel free to reach out, and yeah, filterlife.org is the best way to reach out to us.
Great. Thank you, Dan. So, Dan, do you ever think about how a moment of heroism ended up becoming the source of a lifelong health battle?
Do I ever think about it? Yes. I think about that day and that operation. And the most common question I get is, hey, if you knew you were going to come out of this risking your life with kidney disease for the rest of your life, would you have done it? Would you have done it? Would you have still done it? And it's a real question. But for me, it's 100% absolutely. There's no regrets. I have no regrets. You know, I take a piece of that ship around with me everywhere I go, man. And that's why I don't have a problem having this conversation, because there's awareness that comes from this. I think it needs to be shared. I know it needs to be shared. You know, when you're exposed to toxic chemicals and you're not paying attention to your kidney health, that's two different recipes for disaster. And all of that came colliding together for me at one time. If I would have paid a little bit more attention to my health, if my medical team was paying a little bit more attention to my kidney health, if I understood a little bit more about what my kidneys and what they do in your body and that kind of thing, I think I would have been able to catch this a little earlier than just waiting for it to show up on its own. I think that day there wasn't really a way around the toxic chemical exposure. There wasn't anything that you really could have done to not have been exposed. You know, the protection that we have on our face, mine was removed off of my face during the operation. So, you know, I was exposed and I got that exposure. But what people don't understand is that those chemicals, right, have to go through the kidney, and then they got to get processed through the kidney. And the damage that happens on a cellular level, on a podocyte level, okay, takes time. For me, it took 12 years to show itself. I didn't become nephrotic until 12 years after exposure. And that's common with a lot of different cases that we see. And these things take time to show up. So it's probably, you know, I tell my veterans, right, Steve, you're a veteran. I tell my guys, look, man, this probably it's not going to be in your service record. You know, you're not going to have went to medical to get this taken care of. You're not going to have kidney disease in your service record. You're not going to have a failing kidney or lower EGFR. None of that stuff's going to exist, right? But there are ways that we can talk to the VA. There are ways that we can help submit these claims to prove to people that these things do exist. I'm a walking, living, breathing case of it, you know? And when I go to Congress, I tell them the same thing, you know? When I had to, yes, you have to just explain yourself at the highest level possible, so that way people can try and help understand where you're coming from.
Right. Let's talk about the diagnosis that changed everything. When you was first diagnosed with a rare autoimmune kidney disease, what went through your mind emotionally?
The first thing that went through my mind was, what is membranous nephropathy? Didn't understand that. I didn't know the difference between a primary and secondary diagnosis. I didn't know anything about rare protein spilling kidney diseases. My very first reaction was, okay, doc, where's the pill? Where's the, you know, I'll take whatever, what do we got to do? Where's the medicine? And that was, for me, was probably the most nerve-wracking answer I could have received, was that there was no medicine, that there is no cure, that there is not much we know how to do today. And that was, it's a lot to deal with, man. Anybody that's been diagnosed with this disease, whether it's membranous, whether it's kidney disease in general, your day of diagnosis, you remember that. You remember that very vividly. And it sticks with you, you know, and it affects the way that you listen to doctors later on, depending on how that process went for you. If that process was traumatic, well, you can pretty much expect that moving forward, you're probably going to have a traumatic response to the rest of your doctors moving forward. You may not be able to build trust very easily there and those kind of things. So if you are a doctor and you take these things into consideration when you're going in and you're announcing this stuff to the patient, you may have diagnosed 15 people that day with CKD, but this may be the first time that patient's ever heard about kidneys. let alone a disease that they have in their own body. So that was my reaction, was how come I'm just now learning about this? How come nobody knows anything about this? Why doesn't anybody know anything? So that came across pretty quickly. The hands in the room when people don't really understand something, that go up in the air pretty fast and just go, man, I don't know. I think we're just going to have to treat symptoms. But we all know that that's not, those are Band-Aids. That's not how we fix the problem. Right. So what I also knew was, an emotion that was going through me was, am I the only person that has this? I can't be the only person. And how did I get it? Why do I have this? Is it something I did? Is it something I don't know, touched? I don't know anything about kidney disease right at the time. And nobody could tell me, oh, well, there's actually no known cause. What? How are you going to give me some stuff that has no cause, no cure, no nothing, no name, no, right? Like, I'm a patient just here. You're just supposed to accept that. So I was looking for answers. I think, as a lot of us patients do, I was looking for answers. My EGFR was 27 at the time. I was looking down the dialysis pipe. I had never been on dialysis myself. And I was looking down that transplant type, and then just getting scared. A lot of fear around dialysis. Oh yeah, you don't want to be on dialysis, man. Oh, you don't want to do. You don't want to go there. You don't want to do. Okay, well, what do I want to do? Well, I don't know, but you don't want to do that. So I needed, what I found out is what I needed, and I think that every patient needs at diagnosis, no matter where you are in your journey, is we need community. We need foundation. We need somebody that's been there before that can walk this walk with us. That's what I found that we needed, that I needed, and that was very helpful for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dan, let me ask you, what did that diagnosis make you fear the most, for your health, your identity, or your future?
I didn't have an identity at that time, man. I was just a black dude in America, man. You know what I mean? I had no identity, man. I was just out here trying to be a great father, a great coach, a great husband. That was my identity at the time, being diagnosed. Yeah. I mean, now it has a word. Now I know how I feel. It's got a word to it. But again, without a lot of support, without a lot of knowledge around the area, I felt like I didn't have a whole lot of options. So my option was to lay down and accept what's currently available in today's world, or fight back like you usually do and go change the world somehow. And we're going to do that one kidney at a time.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the hardest nights. Living with chronic kidney disease can bring fear, pain, and uncertainty. What were some of the hardest moments you faced during hospitalizations and complications? I mean, were there times when you felt alone or overwhelmed? And if so, what helped you keep going?
That's an awesome question, Steve. Yes. So yeah, what helped me keep going? Did I feel alone? I tell people a lot of times in this disease, regardless of the size of your support system, you're going to be alone, and you're going to be alone a lot. So get comfortable being alone. Number one. I wasn't that comfortable with that. And I had to learn how to quickly be comfortable with just being alone. And what does alone look like? What does alone look like in an emergency situation for me? What does alone look like in general, right? Because you're not always physically alone. You may have your caregiver, your support system there in the room with you, but you may not necessarily have answers. So you're not really alone. I mean, or you're not really with anybody. You're just in your head, just by yourself, just circling and circling and circling. You're like the phone when it's just like, it just keeps, pending. And you need direction. So being able to figure out where in your journey you are, what you need at that time, and how to go after it, right? So being there in the room, times the worst. I've had so many bad times in the hospital, so many. And I know there's good friends of ours now that are going through this, very similar stuff. So if you're in the hospital now, find community the best way that makes sense for you. And for me, it was I found a support group. I found somebody that had learned a little bit more about this disease that could share that information with me. Look for a mentor, somebody that can walk this walk with you so you're not always alone. And if when you are alone, you have a goal to reach, you have a direction to keep climbing towards when you're alone in that dark space. And that was what I found I didn't have, that I needed to create for myself, was when I walk this walk by myself, how do I shine a flashlight on my path, but not know that there's light at the end of the tunnel? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you're not really going to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel until you get there. And that tunnel could be long. That tunnel could have multiple turns to it, right? And multiple angles to it. But having the confidence to turn the flashlight on in the first place and take the walk down the lonely road, it starts there. There's nobody that can do this for you. There's no doctor. There's no medical team. All of these people are resources to you. I tell that to the veterans and the patients that we help at EKF. I can't do this for you. I can't approve the claim for you. I can't do this for you. I can't walk this walk for you, but I'm willing to walk it with you and alongside you. With a lot of people don't. I found a lot of information out there, which was good, right? I found a lot of organizations that would give you the information, but I didn't really understand how to regurgitate it, especially or digest it, let alone regurgitate it, especially in a time of desperation, when you're in pain, when you're in those things, when you need to know the answers the most, and you just can't get there, right? You're tired, you're lethargic, you're on medicine, they can give you all these drugs, you're just like woozy most of the time when you're trying to, in the middle of some of these treatments, and some of them are life or death treatments, man. So that's a little bit how I dealt with moving forward in some of those dark times.
Right. Kidney man Dan says we need a guide. And look, I done wrote 4 books. I need some customers.
Tell him, Steve. Hey, look, yes, sir.
There's information out there. I mean, this is trusted, evidence-based information. So I just wanted to put a plug in for myself.
I love it. Yeah. No, I definitely love it, man. Speaking of Kidney Man Dan, man, he's one of the first people that I met online. When I was diagnosed, and he had a disease that was very similar to mine. He had, he suffers from FSGS, which is a little different. And, for me, he was a guide when I needed a guide, you know what I mean? And I saw how helpful that was. I just needed way more of it, and in so many different directions. And then I needed 50 guides is what I really found out that was what a kidney patient needs, is like, you need like 50 guides, all that, the mental health guide, the doctor, all the things, the food, all the things.
No,
so
I hear you. And
you gotta be willing to learn from others, man, that have walked this walk. So if you're not willing.
Uh-oh. Let's see if we get them back right quick. All right, we got you back, Dan.
There we go, man. I'm sorry, man. Whew.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't make the internet, man. I'm just on it.
Right. So with that being said, we're going to just take a quick PSA break and come back with Navy veteran Special Operations Dan Holmes. So we'll be right back after this PSA.
Hello, I'm Darren. We have breaking news. More than 600,000 Americans have kidney failure. While the number of people with kidney failure is enormous, the number of people with its precursor, chronic kidney disease, is staggering. An estimated 31 million Americans, or about 10% of the US population. Diabetes and hypertension cause 2/3 of all cases of kidney disease. 1 out of every 3 Americans is at risk for kidney disease, and kidney disease is now among the top 10 causes of death in the United States. In addition, 9 out of 10 people with early to moderate kidney disease don't know they have it, putting their health in jeopardy. Are you at risk? For more information, contact urbankidneyalliance.org. The life you save may be yours.
So we're back with Dialysis Life with Steve, the kidney nurse, our special guest, Dan Holmes, CEO, Director of Enlisted Kidney Foundation. That's my organization, Dan. I don't talk about it much. Urban Kidney Alliance. I started back in 2014 when I created that nonprofit. Pretty much try to do the same thing that you're doing, but on a different note of helping people. And I had a rude awakening. Just because you're 501c3 doesn't mean you're going to get donations. And
Yes, sir.
I went through a lot of the giant pharmaceuticals, and they want you to have certain things in place. They want you to have a plan, what you're going to do. I mean, a lot of red tape. And
You understand it's not easy then. So starting an organization and making it successful, Steve, you firsthand know. This is no easy task.
Hey, and let me tell you, I even used some of my school loan money to help some kidney warriors out in the beginning, because you know, when it comes to kidney disease, somebody getting kidney failure and doing dialysis, life doesn't stop. The bills keep going, your car breaks down, other stuff happen in the house.
Yep.
And some way or other, you got to pay for it and pay for treatment. So, yeah. But Dan, let's go through some of the comments we had before we get back to our interview. Brooke, that girl, wants to know, she says, thank you. And what do you guys offer? Meaning the Enlisted Kidney Foundation. What type of service?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Thank you so much. We have a bunch of different programs. So we help veterans and patients with kidney disease. Veteran side of our organization, we help veterans connect their toxic chemical exposure to their kidney disease. We also help veterans navigate this confusing organization called the Veteran Healthcare System. We've built a lot of positive relationships within the VA, from our local nephrology teams to the head of nephrology at the VA to the head of the VA themselves. Having conversations at all different levels is important. So taking that information, passing it down to our veterans, helping our veterans process their claims in a way that hopefully helps their claim become more successful. Our organization specializes in helping provide that education that sometimes these VA raters need to be able to articulate it correctly about the exposure and knowing what these nexus letters and things like that need to look like. We don't create those. We don't submit claims for folks. What we do is we help that veteran come to the table, go to organizations like their local VSO or the DAV. We work very closely with the DAV, and we help them come up with the best case possible so that they are more successful. Some of the other things that we do. So we also help the Disabled American Veterans Association organization. What they do in our world is they help our veterans apply for disability and compensation for their ailments during their time in service. They help me do the same thing. Some other things that we do is we help bring awareness and education around the world of transplant, because it's very important here, because this is how we get people not only off of dialysis, but we get rid of dialysis, is we get people to become living donors. And we give out living donor information, awareness. We try and keep connections. We have organizations that we work closely with, like the National Kidney Registry, right? And trying to get people set up with microsites. You know, one thing, Steve, did you know that the VA only has 9 transplant hospitals in the United States? So out of those 9 hospitals, the VA doesn't accept vouchers either from the NKR, right? So the voucher program. So even if you go Parrot Exchange or the voucher program, the VA doesn't accept that. So if you wanted to donate a kidney, let's say I needed one, Steve, and you were like, Dan, I got you, bro, right? But weren't a biological match where I could just accept it. Well, you donate to somebody else, and then I get a voucher, so I get the very next kidney that works in my body for me, right? And I go skyrocket to the top of that list. Well, for a veteran, I can't take that voucher and go within the VA system to go get that transplant tomorrow, because there's 9 hospitals, there's a backup, and they don't accept these side vouchers. So there's a problem there. And that leaves our veterans stuck waiting for transplant when they actually qualify and may qualify right now. So we're working with different organizations to try and help these veterans get transplanted sooner, being able to take that voucher, right? Working with organizations like NKR who have hundreds of hospitals throughout the United States that will accept these vouchers, right, Steve? So now if you give me your kidney, we get the voucher, you give it to the man's gives me a voucher for mine. I can now get hooked up with another organization, give them my voucher, and go get my transplant. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And save my life sooner than later. Sooner than later is the key.
Let me just piggyback and reiterate something, because I don't want people to think, because you mentioned get your voucher and skyrocket to the top. And it's not really like that. I mean, because I know somebody got a voucher and 3 years later, they still waiting for a kidney.
That's not the norm. And that's not the everyday.
I just had someone reach out to me the other day. Young lady said she working with a client where the son, I think they may be foreign. I'm not sure, Spanish, I'm not sure, but the son wanted to donate to the dad in the 70s, and they didn't match. So he did the voucher, and here it is a year later, the dad's still waiting for his kidney, and he in the 70s. And my thing is this: what if the dad, God forbid something happened with the dad where he passes away and don't get that kidney? Now what happens to that voucher? The son then already gave the kidney away, and there's a voucher lingering out there.
NKR has solved that problem. They have solved that exact problem right now. That question you have right now has already been solved by NKR.
How is it solved? Because the dad didn't get the kidney.
So I can't speak on that situation because I have no clue.
No, the dad's still alive.
That.
But I'm using the scenario.
But if that person who was waiting for the kidney were to expire waiting for that kidney, they have a process of what to do with after that. Okay. And it actually goes into, I think you get up to 5 different people to choose from at that point.
That ain't the same as your family. And I think that's why a lot of people, and just in my opinion,
it could. Now, Steve, correct. Look, I'm not going to say that it doesn't go to your family. Okay. I think at that point, the options open up on more to who can receive this voucher. Does that make sense? Because maybe so that's what it is. It's not necessarily it has to go to the next person and wait for that person to develop kidney disease. What if that person doesn't have kidney disease, right? What if that person never gets kidney disease? Well, does that voucher just stay there for that person's entire life?
No. I get that, but I can see where families may get bitter and kind of hesitant on doing that if they can't do a direct donation to their family member. And now, organization said, well, we can do a voucher. And I'm not knocking the vouchers, don't get me wrong, but it's 3 people that I heard about that they did that from the voucher, and it wasn't as quick as the organization led them to believe. And in fact, one person's still waiting.
There is nothing in the kidney disease space, and I think what you're saying is 100% accurate. There is nothing in the kidney disease space that is guaranteed. There's nothing about this process that makes it a lot easier to actually deal with, especially when that comes to trying to wait around for a kidney, biologically, what you qualify for, what your particular insides look and feel, and how that qualification goes. But I will tell you that those 3 individuals is not the norm. Thousands of people get kidneys, okay? Thousands of people are receiving their gift of life. I don't want that to deter from somebody thinking that I'm going to give up a kidney and nobody's going to be able to get it and they're going to die anyway, waiting for me to give them that kidney. No, that's not the case. If you want to be a living donor, get the right education. Come to organizations like ours so we can put you in touch with the right people for you, for what you need. We have organizations. This is why we build these relationships, so that way we don't have people left out in the dark. Because if you get left out in the dark, man, this is what happens. You fall through the cracks. You got nobody watching you. You don't have that mentor, that guide that's pushing you up over that next hump, right? So that's why it's important to have foundation, to have organizations that have your back, that are rooting for you, that are pushing your information out there. So that's another thing, another pillar that the Enlisted Kidney Foundation does is we help our veterans and people who qualify for living donor transplant to get them connected and start getting these people hooked up so they can start doing some things. So, and saving some lives, man. So we do that. We help there. And I think I think she said one of the other things that we would do for us is we have, that's very different than most organizations, is our mentorship program, our Filter Life mentorship program. So we have a one-on-one mentorship program where we sit down with patients, veterans, individuals who feel that they have been filtered out of the system. And we sit down with them and free. This is free. Like you said, Steve, having a 501c3 is hard because you have to be able to demonstrate that you're doing all of these things, but you have no funds to do all of these things. So you got to just be able to soak it up and go do it. Go do the work that needs to be done. And at the end of the day, I think my belief is if we do enough good work in the world, if we change enough people's lives, if we keep our focus in the right place, and I believe the right place is patient mentorship. If we keep our focus in that right place, everything else falls in line. I think the support ends up falling in line. People understand what the organization does, how it helps others, and then they can really get behind your 501c3, right? Not just for the tax relieving benefits of donating to a 501c3, but what we're actually doing with those funds, right? So a couple of things we do. We go to DC. We are going to DC to fight for a House Resolution 3639. What is that? That's the PFAST Act, Steve. And why do I care about the PFAST Act, Steve? Because I was diagnosed with toxic chemical exposure because of PFASs that I have in my kidney today. And my kidney disease is because of that. Okay. So I care about PFASs. Well, right now, the Veterans Administration does not automatically recognize that as disabling. That's a problem. And we need to fix that. Just like the VA didn't recognize any toxic chemical exposure as disabling before the PACT Act. And I would be happy to say that our efforts in DC helped during that last administration to get that act passed. Now, as a result, hundreds of thousands of veterans are able to go and get their toxic chemical exposure related to their service automatically. Somebody's got kidney cancer, Steve. Boom. Look, I was at this base. This happened. Boom, boom. There's some criteria. We meet all that criteria. Now they can get 100% P&T, or at least apply for it. At least apply for the disability, the benefits, and all the things, the health care that you get. Did you know you get health care for your family if you're 100% permanent and totally disabled? But if you're 90% disabled, you get nothing. You get a quarter of that paycheck, number one. So you get a little bit of compensation, but you don't get any of the other benefits. You can be 90% disabled. 10% the VA will look at you as enabled, and that you don't get any of those benefits. But if you're 100%, well, now the world kind of opens up to you, and you can transfer these benefits to your children. My son could go to college for free now.
Uh-oh. I think they probably having some severe weather down in Florida.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah.
What we're finding out now is that our veterans are being left in the dirt when it comes to these exposures and being able to get qualifying care. So again, that's one of the biggest things that we do is help bring the awareness of what's going on. 3639, we are up there supporting House Resolution 2687, which is the End Kidney Deaths Act. That's going to help provide compensation to people who want to be altruistic kidney donors. That gives them $50,000, Steve, over 5 years. 50 G's over 5 years in a refundable tax credit. If that approves, bro, that right there is going to have people lining up at the door to donate a kidney, right? Wipe out their tax debt. If you got 15 G's in tax debt, you donate a kidney, it's not that we're paying you, but you get that as a refundable tax credit. that you can use to do other things in life, because
So
doing a good service like donating a kidney is a selfless act, and you can do it one time. When I joined the military, it's a selfless act. Great. I can do that over and over and over again after, in different situations, whether it's law enforcement or being a nurse or, a doctor or something like that. But you can give an organ once, man.
right,
Why is
right.
there no compensation for that?
Now I hear you. I think that's a slap in the face. 15,000 in tax credit.
50. It's 50 over 5 years, but it's a start, Steve. It's a start. We got to start somewhere. Right now it's zero.
250,000 and not no tax credit, but pay my bills and give me 250,000. This is my thing, and then we're going to move on. My thing is this: when it comes to donations, I think there should be an independent organization where you got different tiers, and the beginning is 250,000, and person go, they want to participate, they go to this place, they get tested. Far as the donor, you got someone else who's looking for a kidney, they register. So you don't know who the donor is, but they go get their blood drawn. It goes through a match, and say it finds somebody who's in that data system that's a match. And when if they go through the testing and everything matches up. When they do the surgery, if it's a success, then the donor has 250,000 transferred to his account from a fund, a separate fund that that's built.
Steve, we can get rid of 2 aircraft carriers, man, and pay everybody that money tomorrow to go donate a kidney, bro. I mean, it's not like the money don't exist; it's there. It's just allocated to do what we're choosing not to do that.
Yeah. Because you don't know what people bills they got. They can stay off work for so long. I mean, but that's a different.
Look, we gotta start somewhere. So look, we're trying to get this passed just for $10K. Steve, can you imagine trying to show up to Congress asking them for $250K? I mean, we're just trying to get $10K right now, Steve. Yeah. So look, those of you who support, again, 2687, the endkidneydeathsact.org. Go there. You can sign a petition. You can send your support in. You can do that on our website, filterlife.org. You can go into our website. We have both of those bills. You can read about them, what we're fighting in Congress for. Please, if you sign the petitions, man, that's what we show up to DC with. I don't think people understand that. When we go to the Rayburn building and I'm walking door to door and we're sitting down with, our congressional leaders, they want to know that you're not up there all by yourself. They want to know that the people that you're coming there from, your community of people, supports what you're doing, right? So I need to get up there with a signature full of my veterans, right, about this PFAS Act. I need to get up there with a whole bunch of signatures from kidney disease patients that say, hey, listen, this needs to change. Not everybody's able to be an advocate, Steve, and it's a very hard job being an advocate. But those that can, and those that will, and those that do, we try and do it very well. And we want to do that for the rest of the population of our kidney disease.
Let me ask you this before we move on. What makes you different than people before you that was going up to the Rayburn building 10, 15 years ago? Because I've seen this. I've been involved in this 40 years, and I've seen it when the AAKP magazine back in the 90s and all that, and they were going up to Capitol Hill and this and that. What makes this time different than the past times?
What bill were they up there fighting for? What were they up there fighting for, Steve?
I don't know. Be honest with you. I don't know.
That's why. They didn't let you know what they were up there fighting for. They didn't get the word out enough to let the people know that what they were doing and why they were doing it. And this is also why now it's consistency, Steve. The administration changes. There's new people up there. They get voted in and voted out. So we got to have a conversation 1,000,000 times. The same way you got to have 100 people test for you to be a donor. You got to go talk to these people 1,000,000 times. Why? Because there's 1,000,000 of them up there. If you ever been to DC, man, the hallways are full of people trying to pitch whatever they want to pitch that they don't agree with. So you may have a minute, 15 seconds, 15 minutes with somebody, and that you have to make an impression on that person. They either go back as a staffer, right? Has to go back and explain this to the actual congressperson, or you're sitting with the congressperson themselves, and they need to understand right now why this didn't work in the past and why it needs to work right now, because they weren't there in the past. Right. And it didn't get passed in the past, and it probably should have, Steve, but it didn't for whatever reason. So that's why you got to keep showing up. You think we showed up for the first time for toxic chemical exposure was the first time when the PACT Act got approved?
Right.
No, you have veterans since Vietnam showing up about Agent Orange and all the different stuff, man. And then they go up and say, okay, we'll recognize that stuff after all them veterans are gone and passed away. Well, who's still there fighting that fight, Steve? It takes us to continue what our forefathers have put in front of us, right? The people, the kidney advocates, the kidney disease advocates that stood there before us need us to stand there now. The patients that are in the hospital that are dealing with this disease need us to stand there now to help them figure that out. That's what I needed. I know that's what people need that are on the transplant list. They need that list to go away.
Right.
Or they need their name to get onto the top of it. But if the list went away and everybody got a kidney that needed one, and it wasn't hard, it wasn't a thing, you can donate blood and sperm and plasma and eggs, and they pay you for all types of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kidney, can't do it, because there used to be this black market where people used to cut you open, throw you in the bathtub back in the 80s or something.
Right.
How about we get rid of that, and we don't just talk about, we're not buying body parts anymore. That's not what we're doing. We can actually instill, because we're smart, right? We're smart people, I like to think. And we can instill something in our society that allows people who need a kidney to get one. It allows people who want to donate a kidney to be able to donate that on an easier basis. But if one doesn't know the other exists, or the other doesn't know one exists, I had a guy on our podcast. We have also another pillar that we do is we have a Filter Life podcast here on YouTube as well. And our podcast is getting some really good attention. But we had a guest on our podcast that has donated a kidney, right? And donated a liver. And met a guy in a bar, and the guy couldn't even sit there and drink. He was like, I got to go home, and I'm just here meeting my roommate, but I got to go home because I got to go get on dialysis. And my guy was like, what is that? And he was like, my kidneys don't work. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink nothing. I'm just here getting my keys from my roommate. And he was like, man, well, how do you and he was like, man, I stuck to this machine. And he started talking. They started having a conversation. One guy decided to be vulnerable and talk about his personal stuff, that was his personal ailments. And the other guy decided to listen to him, and he listened and was like, I want to give you a kidney. How do we fix this? I didn't know people were dying every day waiting for kidneys, just waiting. And I'm over here running around with both of mine. Can I give you one? Am I going to be okay? Yeah, you can live just fine with one kidney. Oh, okay, cool. So he does. And then he also donated. He didn't match for the guy at the bar. So that's where he got hooked up into the paired exchange program. And multiple people ended up being saved, right? And then he was able to donate a portion of his liver to this little girl, man, who was born. I think she was like 3 weeks old or 3 months old, something like that. We didn't know that the liver regenerates. You know what I mean? So he donated a portion of his liver, saved this little girl's life with a little piece of his liver. Now, my dude's out there right now, Steve, riding his bike across the country, his bicycle across the country called the Oregon Trail. My guy, Mark Scotch, is out there riding his bike right now, trying to raise awareness about kidney donation, letting the world know that you can donate a kidney and be just fine, and even ride a bicycle across the United States and be just fine.
That's awesome. So let me move on, man, because we kind of over time. But
Go ahead,
let's
brother.
talk about grief and identity. How did kidney disease affect the way you saw yourself as a man, a veteran, and as a leader?
How did it affect it? It changed it. It changed what I knew those things to be. It changed my perception of what it is to be a man, what it is to be a leader, and what it is to be a veteran. It made me buckle down in all of those different categories, right? What does it mean to be a man? Well, stereotypically, none of that really means anything. It really meant about showing showing support for those who show support to you. You know what I mean? Being able to put your own feelings aside for somebody else. Being able to recognize when, you got something going on with you that you need to get taken care of. That self-reflection, having the ability to self-reflect. For me, that's being a man. That's being able to own yours. That's being a man. So it changed a little bit about what I thought, those things were. As aspect of a veteran, it really solidified picking up the veteran next to you, like we used to do in the military, man. Our guys, we fight, live, and die for the guys next to us, man. And it really just reignited that spark in me to go look for the person next to you, because it's not here right now. It's not going to be in my podcast studio, right? It's not in my house. Go look. So, learning how to be where the people are. I learned a lot of that. That was a big focus. So, it just changed a little bit, man. It changed how I thought of disease. I never thought of myself being, one day you're going to be diagnosed with this terminal disease. You know what I mean? This disease is going to end your life. I never thought about that until after diagnosis, until after learning about the disease. But what did that do? Well, it sparked a fight. Many would tell you, Steve, those who know me, it didn't keep Dan down, man. It turned Dan into a national advocate. It turned Dan, it made Dan stand up in front of, thousands and ask questions to doctors and nephrologists and challenge the status quo and ask why. Why do I have this? Why do you think that way? Why are you telling me that this is the best way? What is good look like? You're telling me that, oh, you're good, Mr. Holmes. What does good look like? Understanding what good really actually was. So just, I guess my wife and I, we talk about peeling the onion back a little bit. And that's what it taught me how to do, was to get off of that surface level. A lot of times there's a lot of toxicity at that surface level. And when you peel that onion back and get down to the core, that's where you find the healing. That's where you find your cures. That's where you find your motivation. It's down underneath of there. It's rarely ever at the surface, Steve.
Was there any part of your old life that you had to grieve in order to move forward?
My old life. Steve, it's hard to remember the old life, man. Yeah. Is there a part that you have to grieve in order to move forward? I think, yes. Grieving is something you have to be able to provide space for yourself to do. You got to be able to provide that space so you can kind of understand it, man. I suffer from PTSD, man. I suffered not only from this rescue operation. It's one of the things that lives with me the closest. But things happen in service. Sometimes you lose a friend or something like that, and sometimes you pack those things away. And really, what helped me was staring myself in the mirror, and trying to learn how to unpack some of that stuff. Right, some of that stuff that has been put in that back closet in my brain for so many years, decades, bro, just been stuck back there. Where I had what I felt like an adolescent brain, a child brain. I mean, I was a kid in the military when some things, happen to you. And, you put that in a box, and it's okay giving yourself the permission to be able to go into that box and unlock it and deal with whatever's in there, and having the space, right? Being comfortable enough with your support team to have your support team allow that space to exist. That's a big part of it. It's a big part of it.
So what gave you the courage to turn your personal suffering into public advocacy?
The word no, the word I can't. It doesn't exist. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that. That fueled a fire in me, man. It always does, If you want to see success, man, tell me no. I'll show you success. I'll show you the answer. And that, that fueled it. That really started it. Being willing to.
It looks like we may have lost the connection. There we go.
All right. So sharing your story, becoming vulnerable, realizing that I felt like people needed to hear my story. As much as it felt weird to me to have to share that with people, if I realized that if it could change one person's life for the better, why not? You know what I mean? Why not? And then what I found out is that it really helped me deal with my own vulnerabilities. I became less vulnerable, Steve, as I became more vulnerable. Does that make sense? The more I allowed myself to be vulnerable in those moments, the less it didn't feel like vulnerability. And it just became something that I did. So when the next organization called, then they were like, hey, will you come and talk and give a talk on stage, X, Y, and Z? Yeah. Hey, hey, Dan, we got the FDA and the NIH, man. They're having this huge scientific conference about your disease, man. We'd love to have you in the room. Would you do that? Yeah, I will. I would do that. So saying yes when it felt uncomfortable, saying yes when I didn't know what was at the end of the road, but being vulnerable enough to say yeah and go, look, man, I'm going to rely on me. I've already walked very dark paths myself. And I have that confidence in myself to be able to walk down dark, lonely paths again. So I'm not scared of it. So I take the opportunity to, to be a student of the game and involve myself and be in places that it matters, right? I need to be where your nephrologists are because I need to be able to give them the information. Let's just say, for example, about toxic chemical exposure and how it hurts the podocytes over time and how it can contribute to kidney disease. If your nephrologist never hears that information, well, then how do we get our veterans diagnosed? How are we connecting the dots for our peoples? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So was speaking out ever scary, especially when it meant revisiting painful parts of your story again and again?
Steve, it's scary today, man. It's scary talking to you now, man, having to dig up, uncomfortable parts of my story in our past. I mean, there's a vulnerable aspect to it. When you are beaten to the ground, most people don't want to be interviewed when they're getting kicked down on the ground. But I do it in name of other things. I do it so others may live. And I keep that as my mantra. I keep that in the forefront of my brain. I keep that for the other patients that are in the hospital fighting for their lives right now. That somebody's looking for answers. Somebody's looking for us, and they just haven't found us yet, is my thought process. People are looking for the Enlisted Kidney Foundation and just haven't found us yet, but we're out there. And I will take this chance to say something to Brooke, that girl. She did ask, do we only work with veterans? And I appreciate that because we are the Enlisted Kidney Foundation. And although we do specialize in our veterans and our VA healthcare system, which most people do not, we work with all types of patients. We don't discriminate. If you're a patient here and you feel like you've been filtered out, we want to filter you back into the system, whatever that looks like for you. And that's why we will meet you where you are. But yes, we are a veteran founded, a veteran led veterans organization. Yes, we are specific, paying attention to our veterans because they ain't got nowhere else to go. Where else do you go if you're a veteran with kidney disease and you need help navigating community care or reaching out to your nephrologist up there on the third floor of the VA? You know what I mean? Where do you go? Who do you call? We're that organization. We're that bridge that mends those gaps. We're in your VA, talking to your VA professionals, so that way they can learn how to work with you as a patient as well. So we're doing it on both sides.
Okay. So speaking of the Enlisted Kidney Foundation, what inspired you to start the Enlisted Kidney Foundation in the first place? I mean, was it born out of frustration, hope, or a desire to make sure no one else felt as isolated as you once did?
Definitely, so that way nobody felt filtered out in the way that I did, or isolated in the way I did, or not just isolated, but there's so much misinformation. I feel like there's a lot of information, but none of it's really put together very well in the time of crisis. And I felt like people that were dealing with this disease in a time of crisis deserved better. And as a veteran who needed to navigate this spider web of red tape through the VA, I needed to be able to learn that system. Because I did that, there's nobody else that bridges that gap. So I started EKF so we can bridge that gap for you. So we can be that bridge that connects those dots for you. And I'm proud to say it because we've changed so many lives, and we continue to work with patients on a daily basis, changing lives. And being able to see that light at the end of the tunnel for other people is not only amazing, Steve, but it's addicting. And it kind of keeps us, it's what keeps us going, man. It just keeps us going. Knowing that we can do that, having the confidence to be able to say, you know what, I can at least try and make whatever you're going through better than where it is right now. I can't guarantee anything. I don't have a magic pill. There is no magic dust for kidney disease that cures this thing. But sometimes being able to provide you with community, some foundation, and some support can go a super, super long way. So I say that to say we do a support group twice a month. We do that free to our patients. Again, all of our things that we do in our organization are free of charge to you because, you know, we shouldn't have to pay for help, man, just for somebody to sit down and help you, you know. But we do our coffee and conversation sessions, and we do that 2 times a month. So we have our first Saturday, which we had yesterday. So our first Saturday of the month is on Zoom. So that gets emailed out to our Filter Life email crew. So if you want to be a part of that, go on our website, sign up, and we'll make sure we get you to the link. But it's an open forum support center. So support, I don't even want to call it a support group. We have fun in there, man. We come together. We talk about kidney disease. We talk about mental health. We talk about how those two things play a huge role in what we're doing. And we provide community for each other. There's a good, solid group of people that show up consistently, you know, time in and time out. And I think we all gain. I haven't left one of these coffee and conversations, to be honest with you, Steve, and not walked away and been like, man, that was helpful. That was helpful for me. You know what I mean? And I really hope that somebody takes something away from that. So we do that twice a month. And one of the things that we're changing, so we had it on Zoom, but in our efforts at EKF to reach more people where y'all are, we're going to do it on TikTok Live. And the way that we do it on TikTok Live is instead of having everybody on TikTok just be able to hop into your conversations, we're trying to build our followers of super fans. What we would like to do is have our super fans on TikTok be able to have the support group in an open public forum. You know, so that way we can still be private in a way and selective as who joins the conversation, but be able to have the conversation in a public forum where people can see these conversations taking place. They can see that there is support out there, and we need to be able to reach people where they are, Steve. And right now, we're finding a lot of people are over there doing that on different platforms and trying to find community. So we want to be in as many communities as possible.
Got you. So you shared your story before Congress, NIH, the FDA, and major kidney organizations. What did it mean to you to finally have a seat at those tables? Did you ever feel you were carrying the voice of patients who never got the chance to speak for themselves?
I don't take this burden lightly. I think that this responsibility, if you're going to step into this role and not only put yourself at the table, but be a voice that's heard at the table, is a very difficult thing to do. But I pride ourselves in being able to build those relationships to be at those tables. And yes, it's a huge burden. It's the burden that we all get sold. It's that burden that, oh, I'm gonna take your voice up there and they're really gonna make change for you. And then there's never change, or there's no feedback, or you don't understand where the change might be. We're different, and I want to be different, and we're intentionally different about that. So we come to these meetings, we come to the tables, we sit down with the other organizations, and we're intentional about our patients, our following, and our community. We're very intentional about bringing resources to our one-on-one mentorship programs, sharing information that we can learn at places like the American Society of Nephrology, and taking those things and not just sharing our story, but gain information to be able to bring back to you. That's the goal, right? Is being patient focused, is bringing that information to your living room, bringing it to your cell phone. I don't know, that's what I needed. I needed somebody that knew how to navigate the VA healthcare system and bob and weave through all this red tape and bring that to me and be like, Mr. Holmes, while you can't breathe and you're stroking out and you got all these pulmonary embolisms and you're full of, 300 pounds and you're full of 80 pounds of water weight. I'm going to bring you this little gift and say, hey, man, this is the direction we should turn your compass, and we're going to walk this walk with you and give you advice down this road. I needed that. And I had it in a lot of different areas, but there was a spot that was missing, and that for me was a VA healthcare system. So that's why we created what we got. And, that's why we're able to make the change. I think a lot of people talk about their love for the veterans, their love for us, and their love. Oh, I love a veteran and thank you for your service and all of that. But push comes to shove, man. I can't even get the VA to love veterans.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to fight the VA system to love us more. So if y'all do love us, please, people like me and Steve and all of our veteran people out there, we need that support. And the only way we can do that is being a part of organizations like the Enlisted Kidney Foundation, right? Getting the help that we know we need and having the backing of those organizations where the public supports it. That's what we need. Is the public, you want to support a veteran organization, support the Enlisted Kidney Foundation, and for sure, not only are we taking your voice, but we're making change in these veterans' lives that ultimately are never going to be changed.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Let me ask you this. And you just mentioned your story has helped bring more attention to toxic exposure and the PACT Act. What do you think veterans need most when they're struggling with invisible health conditions? I mean, what would you want a veteran who feels dismissed or forgotten to hear from you directly?
I've been in your shoes. I can help you. You don't have to do this alone. It is crazy. No, you're not. The system is designed this way. Yes, it's frustrating. Please let us help you. Mm-hmm. We can help you. Please let us help. Please don't let me go. All the crap that I had gone through, man, you don't have to go through that. There's changes in places now. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not easy. But find somebody that can help guide you through it realistically. And if they're just talking to you, ask them how they did it themselves. And if they can't tell you how they did it themselves, then I wouldn't be taking advice from them. It's just how I am. I'm going to walk the walk. I talk the talk, man. I don't talk nothing I ain't walked through. So.
Okay. So you say no kidney warrior should ever have to face this journey alone. Why is this message so personal to you? I mean, when you think about the people who are newly diagnosed or silently suffering, what do you hope they feel when they hear your story?
Steve, tonight I know somebody named Kiera that is silently suffering. And Kiera, I want you to understand that you're not alone. I know you feel like it, but you're not alone. We're there. We're with you. It sucks. It sucks again and again and again, and it's tiring. But you're not alone, and we know that. So that's what I would say. I would say that to anybody that's dealing with this disease, their ailments. There's real people out here that have been through this, that know what you're going through. The fight ain't over. We're fighting. Just know that. Please help to know that we're still here fighting for you. And the more support we can get, the more fight we can do, the quicker those solutions will come. But yes, tonight there is somebody special in our hearts that we want to pay attention to. And Kiera, you are special to us at EKF. You're special to me and my family. and what you're going through is very hard, but you're going to get through this as you always do. And we're here for your support.
Wow. Wow, that was nice, man. Yeah, it's a lot of people out there that's going through something dealing with this disease. So I appreciate you sharing that. What your organization is, dealing with. So Dan, this has been a long but great conversation, man. You really shared a lot of information, and I want to thank you for being here and for sharing your story, so openly. Your journey is a reminder that even in the hardest seasons, there can still be purpose, connection, and hope. The work you're doing for kidney patients and veterans matter. And I know it will encourage a lot of people listening. And to everyone out there, remember, you do not have to walk this journey alone. Dan, any last words you want to say before we close the broadcast?
If you feel filtered out, the Enlisted Kidney Foundation was designed to help you filter it in. You're not alone. You don't have to walk this walk by yourself. Please reach out to us. I'll give you guys my email, ekf@filterlife.org. Send us an email. Get in contact with us. Send us a DM. Put it in the comments. I'll read them. Put them in the comments. Look, we're always looking for people to help. Like I said, we have to go out and search for it. So if you have found us, if this has come up on your page, if you think this is something that you can get behind, you can support us in doing. If you need the support yourself, please don't hesitate. We're here, filterlife.org. The Enlisted Kidney Foundation is here to help you in multiple different ways. You can find us on TikTok. You can search our Filter Life podcast and at Enlisted Kidney Foundation on all your social media platforms. That's where you'll find us. You'll probably see my ugly mug all over the place there as well, trying to spread this awareness. So if you got questions, please reach out. I'm a friendly guy. I don't bite. Send us an email. I'll respond. I'll tell you, I promise you I'm going to respond. So please reach out to us. Thank you, Steve, for the platform. Thank you so much for having us today, having me.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to just take over the world with kidney disease education, man. It's just far too commonly forgotten, so we got to just filter that back into our everyday, So again, I appreciate it. We have an apparel shop that also helps support our causes. So you can actually walk around with some of our EKF gear and our Filter Life gear. I think it say on the back, Filter Life. You see that? But we got a bunch of different hats and shirts and cool stuff in our Filter Life shop. You'll see that again on our website. And again, all of those things do go to help our nonprofit organization change the lives of kidney patients every day.
All right. I appreciate you, Dan. Thank you for coming on. And to everyone else, this has been Dialysis in Life with Steve, the kidney nurse. We'll see you next time, next week, with a new story and a new show. Take care.
Appreciate you.
All right, Dan.
Steve on the mic, yeah, the nurse got skill, break it down smooth. Keep the whole squad chill, talking about kidneys. Yeah, we keep them on track. If your numbers off balance, he gon' bring them right back. Got the wisdom on deck, no stress, just facts. Hydration, motivation every time he reacts. From the clinic hallway to your podcast feed, dropping gems so fresh. Yeah, that's all you need. Stevethekidneynurse, yeah, you know the name. Keep your body in check, yeah, we play no games. Real talk, real health, yeah, we keep it pure. Tap